Hi everybody, welcome to day 4 of our 5-day spring cleaning challenge. Today we're going to talk about internal toxins. So I hope you've enjoyed the information so far. Definitely go back and do your homework if you want to be entered for a chance to win the prize. So this diffuser and a 15 milliliter bottle of On Guard, which is worth over $100. I think it's a great price. Great Mother's Day gift. So be sure to go back and comment in the comments below the videos, and I will enter your name into the drawing. So today we're going to talk about internal toxins, and basically there's a lot to that. So the biggest one, of course, is food, and like I keep saying, that's just a class in itself. So I'm just going to touch on the basics today about that. So you know, you hear about it all the time, the GMOs, the genetically modified organisms in our food. So those are actually foods that are scientifically made and then grown, right? They're just not real. They've had some scientific modifications made to them. So foreign to our bodies. So then there's pesticides, which we deal with all the time. And then there's processed foods. There's sugar and artificial sweeteners, which are terrible for you. High fructose corn syrup. You know, you've got your medications, whether they're over-the-counter or prescription medications, and so we'll just categorize that as pharmaceuticals in general. So we deal with a lot when it comes to internal toxins. And it's funny because until you make this mind shift, when you hear everything you heard this week, it's just amazing, isn't it? So, you know, we have to make that deep connection that this is the reality. This is why everybody's getting sick. It's what we're ingesting. It's what we're using. It's our planet right now. It's how we live. It's our routine. It's the propaganda. It's the habits that we have formed, and we just don't know any better. So I'm hoping that I'm an avenue for you to know better. And so, like I said, as far as the food goes, if that's something that you need assistance with or you want to go further with this, definitely give me a message on the Hippie Kitchen here on Facebook, and I'd be happy to talk to you about a program. I do have other services available. So getting back on track, so the problem is when we talk about internal toxins, and any toxin for that matter, whether it's topical, whether it's aromatic, all the toxins that we experience. When we discuss those things, we have to consider our immune system. And it just goes right back down to the immune system, right? And so what actually happens with internal toxins, especially when we're eating these foods over and over again, or we're becoming sensitive to things, a lot of problems with food is, like I had discussed earlier, you become sensitive to things that you do, these habits that you do over and over and over again, and your body becomes sensitive to it. And ultimately, what ends up happening, especially in the case of pharmaceuticals and autoimmune disease, is that our gut is in trouble. So when you think about it, our gut is our second brain. So we have our brain that feeds our body with all the energy that it needs and all of the commands. You know, this is the command center. So we got the command center here full of all wonderful little workers going on and telling the body what to do and sending things into their right places and, you know, all of those things. But unfortunately, unless this is getting what it needs in the proper form, it can't do its job properly, and then our body suffers, and that's when we are experiencing symptoms and things are going astray, things are awry in our body. And the reason for that is because our second brain, which is our gut, has been damaged in most cases, and it's caused by all of these toxins. So our gut is one long tube, right, that starts from our mouth and it ends in the back, and it has 4 layers of tissue, and the central one inside is the mucosal lining. And when food finally breaks down, we don't absorb nutrients in our stomach. we absorb everything that goes into our body through our gut and through our skin, but through our gut. And so when we eat these toxic foods and we take these pharmaceuticals, the food eventually gets down to our intestines, and this mucosal lining keeps doing this job, and it kind of sorts through the food, right? And it breaks it down even further. And when it breaks it down and sorts through it, it's pulling all the nutrients out of it. So all of your vitamins, all of your minerals, all of your nutrients that you need, it's pulling that out of there in our gut. And so it's pulling out the information, sending it up to our brain, and then our brain is fed and it's doing its job. It's sending everything it needs into where it needs to go from our gut. But what happens after time when the mucosal lining is doing this, and it's brushing up against nothing but toxins, it wears a hole into our gut. It literally wears a hole into our gut. And so now we've got these holes permeating our gut lining. And what happens is when we actually eat food that have nutrients in them, real nutrients in them, they get down there, and instead of those nutrients getting taken apart and absorbed to go where they need to go, they're actually just escaping through these holes. And we're not getting them. Our brain's not getting them. So our organs are not getting them. And so things start to go awry, right? Now, the second part of that is when we have these toxins, not only are the nutrients falling through these holes, but the toxins are seeping through these holes as well, and maybe even being absorbed through the mucosal lining and going to our brain. So they're going to our brain, they're going inside our body and all over the place like just invaders. And so our immune system sees these invaders and they're like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. But they're everywhere. And so they start shooting at them, right? They're like ping, 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 ping. And they're shooting these guys, but they're everywhere. And before you know it, they're landing on things, right? And they're going into places that they don't belong. And then the immune system starts attacking those places because they don't know the difference. They're just so confused at this point. And your body is just, it's just a shitstorm. Excuse my French. But really, and so there are so many of us who are in some level, have some type of gut malfunction. And so it's very, very important for us to really be aware of how we're eating, the toxins that we're ingesting. You know, really, if you can, you want to stick with organic foods, non-GMO foods, and stay away from pharmaceuticals as much as you possibly can, because they just really do more damage than good. Obviously, if you need medication, you're going to take medication. But don't be one of those people who just always wants a fix from a pill, because unfortunately, one pill leads to another and leads to another. And those pills do damage to your body, and then it's just all hell breaks loose. So definitely, you know, you go your natural approach if you can. So when we want to talk about essential oils and using them internally, a lot of people are up in arms about this topic. And personally, everyone, to each his own. But there are definitely essential oils that can support our systems taken internally and if needed. So if this is something that you're curious about, definitely do your research. I don't suggest just drinking essential oils. See a naturopath or a nutritionist who speaks your language, who's more in the holistic field of things, and they'll definitely help you out with that. But if you tend to be pretty hands-on, there's really not much to be scared of. And I always find it really funny that we as the society that we're in today, as citizens today, I find it so funny that we're so ready to take a prescription from a doctor. And half of these pills, half of these prescription medications are new. And they've just been seen on the television. And we don't know anything about them. And they say, go to your doctor and ask your doctor about, right? And your doctor probably doesn't even really know anything about those meds at the time. And then your pharmacists, do they really know? Like, it's just crazy how it's pushed down our throat, really. But I find it so funny that we're ready to take a prescription. can write us a prescription for pretty much anything, for any reason, really. And then we go to a pharmacy and we pick it up, and all they do is compare it to other medications. We bring it home, and there's a list. You know, you see it on the commercials, like half the side effects, like, you know, anal leakage. I'm sorry, but I don't know what kind of medication that I will ever need, that I will be so excited to take, knowing that I could have anal leakage. Wow, right? But I mean, it's true. So we pick up our prescription from the pharmacy, and then there's this piece of paper, right? It's about this big, stapled shut. But if we opened it, it's about this long. It's about this long. It's huge. But do we read it? No, we don't read it. And those are all the side effects. And we don't read them for a second. But yet if you tell someone that they might get a little relief if they were to take a drop of lemon or peppermint or lavender and a glass of water, they're sending you to the funny farm. 'Cause you crazy. And I'm guilty. I mean, I was a little weary about taking essential oils at first internally, but, you know, I found oils that worked for me, and I found some information that really pertained to my situation, and I gave it a try. But again, you don't want to be doing something every day or over and over and over again, because our stomach linings are also very sensitive. So ingesting something for a long period of time can really kind of screw up the whole bacteria and the acid in our stomachs and the bacteria in our guts. And so, you know, like I said, rotate good habits. If you need something, use it. But, you know, respect the oils. So there are great medicinal properties to essential oils. Like I said before, I'm not claiming something that isn't true. You can go ahead and take a look. There's over 300 plus published articles in PubMed about essential oils. So, and I am not a doctor, and I am not a nurse, and I am not a medical professional, and I'm not a pharmacist, and I'm not telling you to not take your meds, because that is irresponsible. Definitely, you want to be proactive in your health. That's the only thing I'm saying. And if you have a natural avenue that you can try first, then I always think that's a great idea. It's always a very responsible thing to have a good practitioner in your corner. Toothpaste is a big thing when you're talking about internal toxins. So the thing with toothpaste is the fluoride, and the conversation about fluoride is very controversial. But the point is this. So they started with this fluoride thing years ago, like in the early 70s, I want to say, maybe even the late 60s, where they started adding fluoride to the water and to toothpaste because they felt as though it would help us as a society to prevent dental caries, which are cavities in our mouth and our teeth. Lo and behold, though, because fluoride is a natural mineral, and so is aluminum, which I'm going to talk about. So let's talk about aluminum. So when we talk about aluminum, we have aluminum everywhere. We use it all the time. We use it in our food. We use it to wrap our food. We grill in it. We bake with it. We broil with it. We cook. We just use it all the time. We wrap food in it. There's aluminum everywhere. The pans that we use for buffets sometimes, you name it, there's aluminum really everywhere. So our bodies are these awesome machines, and they are made to sort through all of this bad stuff. You know, we have things in place in our systems that help us to get rid of all of these toxins that we're exposed to. It's just that when our bodies are overwhelmed, they just can't handle it anymore. So in the case of aluminum, you know, for the case of normalcy, let's just say normal intake, our bodies know how to say, okay, well, you know, we need a tiny, tiny bit of aluminum in our system, but we don't need much. So we'll take what we need, and then we'll get rid of the rest. And our bodies, our systems are actually pretty good at doing that. But here's where the problem comes in. So fluoride, when you introduce fluoride into the mix, fluoride actually leaches on to aluminum and allows it to stay in the body instead of getting thrown out of the body. And so that's terrible. Studies are starting to show that aluminum has been found considerably in the studies of Alzheimer's and dementia. So you definitely want to kind of kick that habit. So aluminum is bad and fluoride is bad. But when you get them together, that's like double bad. So when it comes to toothpaste, you definitely want to try to go find a non-fluoride toothpaste and something more natural. doTERRA sells a wonderful toothpaste. It's an On Guard brand toothpaste. I like it. And in fact, they have a whole line of On Guard products that are really popular. So you definitely want to be aware of that. And then as far as essential oils go, using essential oils internally, I use them in cooking. They're great for that. You know, when you don't have something, when you've run out of something, you don't have that ginger in the kitchen. I can't tell you how many times I've used ginger, especially. I do a lot of Asian cooking at home, a lot of vegetables, and we use ginger quite often. And it's something that sometimes I forget to pick up when I'm at the store. So it's always great to have that on hand. And then lemon, I've used it in cheesecakes. I've made frosting out of it. Wild orange, I've put it in chocolate sauce. I've used oregano when I didn't have any and I was making a spaghetti sauce that called for oregano. But watch out with the oregano. That stuff is potent, because there was one time I actually made a sauce and it was a big sauce. And I put 2 drops in it, and I had to repair that thing. I really had to do a fix on it. I had to add more tomatoes and everything. It was quite strong. So a little goes a long way. And so that's really cool when it comes to essential oils, because, you know, they're really handy dandy. They're so versatile. Let's see, fennel. There's all kinds that I've used for cooking. Basil. So when it comes to using essential oils internally, definitely there's nothing to be scared of. But doTERRA oils that are approved for internal use have been approved for internal use, and they have a label right on them that will tell you so. So definitely don't just go out to the health food store and start drinking essential oils. But there certainly are essential oils that are out there that can help support us in our daily routines. So that's about it on internal usage and internal toxins. So if you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to send me a message. You can reach me here in Nature's Classroom, or you can reach me at the Hippie Kitchen right here on Facebook. Also, I'm going to give you the homework for tonight. So the homework for tonight is for you to tell me what the 2 minerals are that I mentioned that are double bad. So put your answer in the comments below so that I can enter your name again for the drawing of the diffuser and the 15 milliliter bottle of On Guard. So I'll talk to you later. Have a good night. See you next time.